Hello, class 8. In the first video, we have already learned about the first chapter, that is how, when, and where history. How important are the dates? Why history is very boring? What are the different historians they have given related the events with the date? So today in the second video, we are going to learn about the James Mill. Now in 1817, James Mill, he was a Scottish economist and he was a philosopher. He publishes many massive 3-volume work which is related with the history of British India. He divided Indian history into 3 parts. That is on 3 periods. We can say Hindu, Muslim as well as British. Now why do we try to divide the history into different periods? That is a question. Now the answer will be in attempt to capture the features of a time. They reflect our ideas about the past. They show how we see the significance of the change from one period to the next. So James Mill, he thought that all the Asian societies, they were at a very low level of civilization. They believed that the Indian people, the Indian societies, they are uneducated, they are lacking behind. So then the Europe. So before the British came to India, Hindu and Muslim despots ruled the country. Religious intolerance was there, caste taboos was there, superstitious practice was going on, which dominated the social life of the people at that time. So James Mill, he felt that we need to modernize India. So he could civilize India. So to this, it was necessary to introduce European manners, arts, institutional and laws in India. Clear? Now in this idea of history, British rule represented all the forces of progress, civilization. This period before the British rule was the rule of darkness. Okay, so because Indian people, they were mostly, they used to be dominated by the certain taboos, the evil things were going on at that time. So British rule started to civilize the Indian societies. So moving away from the British classification, now here the role historians they have played by usually divided Indian history into the ancient, medieval as well as a modern, which the same James Mill has divided into the divided into Hindu, Muslim as well as a British. Clear? So don't get confused, children. Now this division too has its own problem. So if anybody try to make any changes, there will be a problem will be created. So it is a periodization that has been borrowed from the West, that the Western side, where the modern period was associated with the growth of all the forces of modernity. When our Indian societies, they were dominated by the caste inequalities, they were dominated by the certain evil taboos at that time. But at that time, in the European side, all the progress was been made in the field of science, reason, democracy, liberty as well as an equality. So therefore many of the historians refer this period as colonial. Clear? Now in this chapter you will also going to learn about the way the British came to here in India to conquer the country, to establish their rule, subjugating local Nawabs and Rajas. You will also come to know how they established their control over the economy, society, revenue, produce more crops that they needed to get more of the values for their own expenses, and how the changes and the consequences also going to come. Okay, so first video we have already learned about the dates, children, how the dates are very important, how the events have been kept according to the chronological order. Then we have already learned why the dates were chosen as a very specific time. Then we have already gone through the rule of each of the governor generals, their importance in history, their activities, their achievement, their laws, everything we have done in the first video. Second video, we have just right now we finished about the James Mill, how he divided the period into 3 that is Hindu, Muslim and British. Like in ancient time history, it was divided into ancient, medieval as well as a modern. Clear? How our country was in the grasp of lots of evil spirit, evil society was there. Then certain taboos were there, certain lots of unmodernity was there. People were not modernized, people were not civilized. They have been dominated by so many of caste taboos, then inequalities. So James Mill tried to make Indian people modernize. Clear? So this much for in this second video. Try to understand the videos, and the next part I am going to explain how the colonial rule started to develop. Okay, thank you children.